Have you ever heard of Derek Sivers? So he's this musician, entrepreneur, and actually he's one of my favorite authors. But not necessarily because of his books, although they are good, but actually for some of his blog posts. And his favorite one of mine is actually one where he tells a story of back when he was 19 years old, where he was involved in a car crash, where he ended up causing some woman to break her back and become paralyzed and unable to walk. A couple of decades after this event took place, Derek actually couldn't live with the guilt anymore, so he tried to figure out where this woman lived so he could go and apologize. And eventually he finds out where her address is, goes over, and as soon as she opens the door and he starts explaining who he is, he just breaks down and crying. Apparently the lady was super sweet, realized who he was, and opened her house to let him come in for a cup of tea, walking him into her front room. Turns out his understanding of how bad her injury actually was drastically overestimated. Yes, she did end up breaking her back, and yes, she did lose the ability to walk for a couple of weeks, but after a few months she was back as right as rain and actually seen the event as a positive thing. Partially because it was a bit of a wake-up call for her to lose some weight, and since then she's had a grandkid and has been able to make some unreal memories because of that. Not only that, but it turns out it wasn't actually even him at fault. She had gotten a takeaway and had been eating while driving and wasn't fully focused on the road. So not only was her injuries not as bad as Derek thought they were, he actually didn't do anything wrong. The crash was her fault. Derek ended up calling this post "The Past Is Not True," and I think it's one of his best. But the thing is, I think more often than not, the future isn't true either. Back when I was in my final year of college, we had to do a final year project. Now, this project took you about a year's worth of research, and as you were going in and doing your research, you were also writing a report, which is about 100 to 120 pages. And then at the very, very end, you had to present your findings, conclusions, and recommended next steps to a panel of lecturers from the department. And I was so nervous. Not because I was actually afraid of standing up and presenting my findings, but more so because I had zero belief in my project. My supervisor, who would have been one of the people on the panel I was presenting to, had always left me with this feeling that I wasn't doing a very good job and that I was going to fail every time I had gone in to meet him every 2 or 3 months. Anyway, what actually happened, I ended up nailing the presentation and got a first-class honours mark for the project overall. And what did he have to say? Oh, I didn't think you were actually doing the work. I thought you were just telling me what you think I wanted to hear. All of these projections I had about how that day was going to go and the mark I was going to get in my project were all untrue. Proving that not only is the past not true, but oftentimes the future isn't true either. Derek ends up closing his story quite elegantly, so I'm just going to steal with pride here. But if you were to get a laser pointer and point it towards the moon, a very, very small change in the angle of your hand down here will result in the end of that laser moving thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of miles across the surface of the moon, meaning that it is super inaccurate. And if we have even the tiniest misunderstanding about the facts surrounding a certain situation and give them enough time and enough thought, they can turn into facts about our past, our present, and our future self that are just not true. Of course, we always need to use the past to reflect on, to learn the lessons that we should take from them. And similarly enough, we need to think about the future to understand where it is that we're trying to go. But the secret is to not dwell on them. Extract the insight that you need and then let them go. Because if you dwell on them, it will just limit your thinking on what you believe to be possible in the future. Change can happen in an instant, but you need to give yourself the space to see that instant when it's there. If you're too caught up in the memories of the past or wondering about how you're going to fuck it up in the future, you're never going to have enough space to be able to see that opportunity when you can actually start making those changes. I hope you found that useful. Be sure to check out Derek. I'll link him down below. But other than that, if you found this video useful, please give it a thumbs up and a like. and also subscribe if you're looking for more videos coming down your way too. Have a great day, folks. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.